I think that one of the most difficult things for an individual who happens to be in a dynamic where you are having issues with the person who suffers from or who has, okay, and I like to say have, because of the fact that I don't think that narcissists actually suffer, though people may feel that, this personality disorder is suffering because of the pain that they inflict on others and different things like that. But I believe that my compassion is ultimately in a place of what narcissists in fact have had far more compassion than they actually deserve in many of these cases. So when I think about, how many of the victims are in scenarios where they have been basically ostracized and been treated a certain way, and I too myself know what that feels like. I am a person who has experienced it, and it seems to be following me in certain aspects of my life, okay? Because like I said before, when you are an individual who has actually experienced being in a birdcage, is what I like to call it, is you are a person who hasn't really gotten out into the world, and there are a lot of aspects of reality in life that you unfortunately were shielded from. And I'm not saying shielded meaning as a way of protection, but a way of actually, things were very confusing growing up, and it was very difficult for me to identify exactly what was going on with a lot of things that I was experiencing when I was growing up. And many of you guys are at this place right now where you are discovering that there are some inconsistencies in your family dynamics, some things that are happening within your family that is causing you to question aspects about yourself and also aspects about your family members, okay? And this is absolutely a right thing for you to do, okay? Because there are many different things that we can ignore, but then when it comes to the point where abuse becomes more severe than what you've actually experienced, because there are, of course, stages to abuse when it comes to narcissistic individuals, okay? Especially if you are someone who is birdcaged, okay? Now, when we think about individuals who are actually, so typically when you are dealing with a normal parent, basically as normal as a person could possibly be, meaning that this is a person who's actually teaching their children their fine motor skills, they're teaching their children how to read, they're teaching their children how to write, they're teaching their children how to clean up the house, they're teaching their children how to tie their shoes and different things like that. This is the normal milestones that children typically learn. Now, when you are dealing with a narcissistic parents in most cases, okay, and I'm not talking about the ones that, and I'm going to clarify this to make sure that I'm being clear. There are two aspects of narcissistic parents, okay? There are two different ways that they tend to raise their children, okay? But they are all typically forms of abuse, okay? Let me make that clear. So one of the ways in particular that one parent will raise their child is to raise a child to be codependent. And this basically means that they're basically handicapping the child, okay? So they're preventing the child. So the parent that is going to be the parent that is going to not teach their children specific things, I'm going to call that the destabilizer, okay? So this is a parent that doesn't want to see their children excel in life, and rather the reason be to the fact that they want their children to always be around them, because many a times when we think about narcissistic individuals, they portray themselves as being very independent people, but as you get to know narcissistic individuals, when you begin to learn more about narcissism, what you're going to learn is that narcissistic people are extremely codependent, okay? What narcissists typically like to do is they like to destabilize people in general. This is a part of their MO, okay? Narcissists need people to need them. They are the kind of people that don't want to be wanted, and I would have to say typically because people don't really want them initially, especially if you really know what kind of person they are. And of course, I know, like, at the beginning stages, we feel so much desire for a narcissistic individual, but once you reach that pinnacle where you have now, gotten that aha moment, and you're saying to yourself, like, what did I ever see in this person? And this is typically something that they don't want people to see. So what they do is they begin to do certain things to make you dependent on them, okay? And this is how the narcissistic parent is, as well as the romantic partner in different friendships.